Hey guys, I'm in a little bit of a rush right now, but I want to put this out there because it's a good point. I'll probably forget it. I watched a little roundtable talk. I think it was Act TV or the Real News Network, one of the two, and they were talking about the Nation. I'm sorry, the Nation. I don't watch them too often, um, and they were talking about protecting our constitutional democracy. And there've been a lot of stuff earlier today I didn't watch, but I wanted to watch this. And they made a statement on there about how you're gonna have a lot of young people coming out of high school and college who are going into a very uncertain future. And I thought about how for millennials, like our whole life has been one of tragedy. 9/11, 20 years long war, the '08 recession. The Patriot Act and them taking our rights further and further. Charlottesville, these church shootings. No, this is not the 50s. We're not the 50s. It's not. I'm not saying that. But I just feel like you had an era, the 90s, the maybe the 80s, where America was almost normal. I mean, you had HIV/AIDS and you had bad stuff back then, but it was an era. I think America kind of, maybe America kind of like, how can I say it? They pinnacled. They got to their highest level, and you don't come back down. No, but you just realize that year I made the most money in my life. That year, they were talking about how different things about Trump. And I want to say this before I go any further. Trump made a statement about how might be better off going into this next wave if there's a next wave. He doesn't believe it would be a next wave. But he thinks we'll be better off now. I don't believe that. I don't see any evidence to that whatsoever that America will be better off. I don't. And I'm hearing now that there's a second wave going on now, as of like today or yesterday or something. I'm hearing about that. I don't believe America will be better off now than we were before this happened. I don't believe that bullshit at all, period. I think it'll be worse because, you got all these people who haven't been working. You're going to have a famine probably. You've got all this war, the world's militarized, and now they're talking about everybody buying all these weapons and stuff. I'm talking about governments, militaries. I don't believe that at all. I think that's just more right-wing bullshit, downplaying. What I always think about is when people realize that Trump is lying, why doesn't that make them get scared or react? And I guess people haven't done that yet. People haven't realized, he's lying about everything he says. But they were talking about how going into this new era, why aren't they putting out a WPA, the day after the Great Depression, where everybody's working and all that. And I thought about what JFK said. I don't know why it came to me, but I thought about that. His speech, he said, think not what you can ask of your country, but what you can do, what your country can do for you can do for your country. And I thought about that, and I thought about how much the right has changed since then. Like JFK, just going off on a tangent. This is me in my own mind thinking. JFK talked about how, diversity. He talked about tolerance. JFK talked about we go to the moon this decade, do the other thing, not because it's easy, because it's hard. That goal will serve to motivate the best and all that stuff. And that we're not going to find in the backwash. And how we go into space, it'll be about discovery. It'll be about, uniting us. And with Trump, I don't see that reality. I don't see a united world. I see a world, that is and will be becoming more xenophobic, a world that is much more treacherous, a world that's much more dangerous, if you will. That's the reality that I see personally, and I don't like it. They try to say that the left changed. I don't believe that. I think the right changed in many ways, and that's dangerous. I think that with our weapons and technology, we stand the chance of another war. I think that if you believe that coronavirus leaked out from a lab, let's have a discussion. If you believe it happened, leaked out of a lab or something, then you have to, it stands to reason that a bunch of people have this kind of technology now. And one thing I learned in my life is when technology first comes out, it's expensive, it's secret, but as advancement goes on, that initial technology gets out, people can afford it now. So you're going to have people using tasers and using things that were for police use for other uses. Same thing with nukes and chemical weapons. I think we have to think about, if you believe coronavirus was a weapon, or parts of it was a weapon, I think you have to think about how dangerous that is and what that really means to world peace. And, what that means as far as a much more dangerous world. There was a book. There was a thing the Rockefeller Foundation did years ago where they talked about, they had like 4 different ideas of the future. And I look at stuff like that. And one of them was talking about, us uniting as a world and solving problems globally. And with Trump, I want to go over that with you one day. With Trump, that world is not even possible anymore. One of them is lockdown, like just world government, but in an evil way, like lockdown government. Everybody's 1984, basically. And then you have one of them that is talking about a world of hackers, a world of fraud, basically a world like my dad lives. A Miami world is what I would call that. Just everybody's a thief, everybody's a liar, everybody's a crook, and that's just the way the world progresses. It's just you can't do anything because everybody's trying to steal from everybody. And then the last one, which is what I think that taking my blender apart. The last one they talked about, and I think that this one is the best we can hope for, is like we work together as people. It's not a global world. We're not like global or whatever, but it's like we're able to, the small people do things. And the whole point of it was we can do better than that. And I think that with Trump, we're just going in a very dangerous direction. Coronavirus, to me, represents one of those global crises we were just going to have anyway. And as everybody keeps saying, when it comes to climate change, when it comes to other crises like that, these things are just they're gonna continue to come up. You've got global air travel, and you've got this global energized white right wing that is looking for any way they can start some type of race war and stuff like that. I think that's a major threat. I think that's a very major threat, and I think that we overlook that. And people don't realize this either. Those things contribute to other problems. Coronavirus was one of the first major survivalist crises. I used to have a file cabinet back in with my grandfather, and it was a black file cabinet. I used to keep files on stuff. And if I still had it, this would be one of the major crises of my time. Because nobody will escape this. Everybody will be touched. My aunt got sick with this. I think I had a nephew or a cousin, that got sick with this, Bruce. So everybody will be touched by this in some way or another. You've got some rich people that have caught it. Not say it's a death sentence, but it just, I don't know if anybody gets it, that just because coronavirus didn't kill a bunch of people, it still shows you how unstable capitalism really is. It shows you how unstable our world really is. It shows you how we're not united. And it shows you how in a world like this, where public officials just like Trump just feel as though they don't owe anybody anything, it makes the world a much more dangerous place. I don't think America will get back its prestige. I don't. I look at Europeans and I want to apologize. When I meet foreigners, I apologize. I'm deeply ashamed and embarrassed. I think America has done a lot of evil, but I think that much of the world tolerates America or has tolerated America because they recognize America still to be a global benevolent force of good. Humanitarian operations and things of that nature. And I think with Trump, that will be forever altered. I don't think anybody will ever look at America again as that way. Sure, you'll still have governments that are willing to overlook things because they have similar objectives to America. I said it before. If Trump wasn't such a fascist and so arrogant, he would be able to work together with white supremacists and work with the, but when he I'm not going to work with the GA, I'm not going to work with the WHO, I'm not going to fund them. Excuse me, that's worse. I think there's a European thing now to where they're trying to, Europeans want to fund, what's it called? I'm trying to remember. Europeans want to, they were funding some kind of a vaccination thing, a bunch of money for coronavirus. The U.S. didn't put any money into it. See, I really believe that when this is all over with, and I don't know when that'll happen, I don't think things will go back to normal. I think this had to happen. See, I celebrate this. I want to be clear. Not the virus, not the deaths. I celebrate Trump making an ass of himself because that's what's going to stop the rest of the world from helping America when they start the next war. That's what I'm talking about. It isn't protests. I realize that now. It isn't protests. They're still going to make their money. They don't care. I think that when Trump just goes out and says, I don't care about wildfires in Amazon. I don't feel as though, see, when they had that, what was this, like a UN meeting back in the 90s, 92, I think, in Rio. And the first George Bush was like, yeah, I'll attend. But he said the lifestyle of Americans is the only thing, like, it's not on the table. We're not going to talk about it. We're not going to discuss that. And Michael Brooks was talking about how, that was a joke. That was an utter joke because, it was an utter joke because what it did was, it made a mockery of it. It would be like if I was royalty in America and Charlotte police charged me with child molestation or underage, sex or something, and I'm like, yo, I got diplomatic immunity. Y'all can't touch me. And I go to the courthouse just to sit in there. But I'm like, hey, I'm not going to present evidence because I don't have to. And you can't convict me and you can't do nothing to me. You know what I mean? I'm making a mockery of it. I'll be up and eating popcorn. I'm like, what you going to do to me? That's in essence what that was. But I think that even back then, I guess I think America still had the World War II, ambiance, the respect that America got from World War II. Like when Trump talks about they don't respect the president, that's what I'm talking about. That presidential respect that the world just, we recognize the sacrifice of the boys and them on Normandy and all that. That's over with now. I mean, that was going to end. That was going to end eventually anyway. But I think that Trump sped that along. I think when they talk about the New World Order and all that, I think that there's got to be global respect. There's got to be global agreements and things like that going into the future. I've said this before. The only way to deal with this new era of, chemical, biological weapons, nuclear weapons, I'm trying to think of it. Grey goo. I'm not sure if you're familiar with that. The nanotechnology, cloning, and stuff like that. We have to deal with that as one world. We have to deal with that with global agreements. And I think that what Trump is doing is putting America out of that. Putting America out of that global respect for America. And I think that Obama kind of worked to bring that back. And I think that with Trump burned bridges for America. Definitely. I think we can agree. I mean, even if you like Trump and you support what he does and you're like, yeah, they do owe us money and we are spending, even if you believe that shit, I think you have to acknowledge Trump has burned some serious bridges. And you may not care about that. You know? One of them storms they had when I was with Western, I was with Southern, and they were talking about how with that storm, there was like nobody really wanted to help America. They were talking about how when Bush had Katrina back in '08, I think Cuba wanted to send doctors. They got doctors. I think a bunch of countries were like, yeah, we want to help. And with Trump, even then they were like, that's what I'm talking about. Which, I mean, you could say this is America. We don't need those people. I get it. But it just shows you we're in a new era now, whether you like it or not. And that's real. Peace.